Yeah.
XC Part Solutions is now available.
And a good evening to you for a third time here in our Track Smack edition of the E-Racing Quad Radio Show, the all-new Quad Radio Show. Of course, Rodney Tomlin along with Ken Hill had to do some set on too high of a rate for me to upload with, and it may not be the best quality probably coming across the internet right now, but maybe you can check in on it there and share the new link and also tag me in that one if you don't care. That way it'll keep me from having to do it. But how are things going for Ken Hill today from the mountaintops of wild, wonderful West Virginia?
Pretty good. Just hunkered down like everybody else, or we're trying to. But, I mean, it really hasn't changed the way we do things other than the wife works from home. Just kind of watching the world float by.
And we in these, I mean, quarantine. How about you? Have you been pretty much subjecting yourself to stay away from the rest of the American population as much as possible?
Well, I mean, during normal times, I would go to town once a week. I think the wife's gone a couple times, so I didn't have to go out during this period. I avoid people normally, so
Nothing.
It really, like I said, it really hasn't changed anything I've done other than I use that.
That's good. Kind of same thing for me, but for some reason, somebody finds a reason for me to have to go to town every day for something silly and off the wall, man. And I'm like, I'm not going in. I'll take you in, but I'm not going in. But unfortunately, I have found myself in a few times. But I mean, all in all, I mean, where I'm at, it's not real bad. It's not rampant. I mean, there are a few cases in the county, and I don't know if we've had any deaths, maybe one or two in the county, but I'm not even sure that we've even had that. But I know we have had a few cases. All in all, I mean, you go out town where we live here in Jackson, Ohio, it doesn't seem much out of the realm of normal. It seems like everybody in town has an essential job of some sorts. It's somehow or another turned into an essential job. We got so many fast food restaurants, we got so many convenience stores, and we got so many big box retail stores that and construction workers are able to work. I mean, I know just a handful of people that are not working right now, and those that are, there are some changes in the way they handle things. I know I've talked to a few folks that draw blood and stuff. They say they do it on a drive-through basis, but all in all, man, I mean, things have seemed kind of normal around here other than, well, I haven't been working, and I've actually had a chance to get some things cleaned up, and I followed in your footsteps and planted myself a garden. That's something that's been keeping you busy.
Oh yeah, the gardens definitely keep us busy.
So what have you been doing to, I mean, other than the garden, what have you been doing to occupy yourself during this time?
Um, Literally just getting the property together. Like I posted in Quickville last week. You know, nothing's really changed other than I have 7 days to do a job instead of 2 or 3 when we're home from in between races.
Right.
I think a lot of the GNCC people don't realize that a lot of us work every weekend at a national. So it's we come home from one and or we stay on the road because we're close to the next one. So I mean, it's been a bit of a vacation, so to speak, if you take out the not getting paid and not making money. But it sure has gotten us a jump start on this year for the property anyway.
For sure, and I think it's neat. We mentioned in the test. Basically, what we're looking at is we've got a big meeting tomorrow to talk about what's coming up as far as the what we can expect as far as the employees, what our protocol and things of that nature will be. I imagine that's gonna entail a lot, especially dealing with the public the way that we are.
I'm sure. I mean, my biggest fear isn't being at the races. It's having to stay at the hotel. And I told my wife I'll probably just dodge hotel, just keep myself isolated and out in the open air. I mean, it's a virus. You can't run from it. You can't shoot it. You can't trap it. You can't catch it with a hook. It's in the air. It's when your skin. It's everywhere. All these people that are barricaded in their home, fear everywhere, and they got more of a chance of getting it than somebody who goes out to town every day.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know how it works. Obviously, if you get exposed to it, it's going to be a situation and a scenario. But I've also talked to a lot of folks that say, I think I had that. And there was a lot of illness late last fall into the winter and into the early part of the year, that a respiratory virus that people couldn't shake, and it was really rough, and they had no idea what it was. And I mean, they're saying, no, that wasn't it. But I have to tend to believe that it likely was that, just on a smaller scale.
Well, I mean, I came out of the hospital with that blood infection the end of January, and they had me so pumped up every day on what the heck do you call it? Antibiotics. Thank you, Bridget. I could have probably taken anything, but when we went to Florida, all the way up through the Florida round, I was short of breath. Didn't feel real good, but thought it was just because of everything I'd been through and getting my strength back. So I mean, it's possible, but this thing will come around and kick your ass again. Just because you have it doesn't mean you can't get it again. And I think that's the biggest reality everybody needs to look at is dismiss 95% of what you hear, because there's only about 5% of the people in charge of things that actually know what the hell's going on, and they don't even have a real good handle on it. So you're just jabbering, you're just blowing off steam, but it gets people riled up, keeps them scared.
Yeah, it does, and that's I mean, that's a good thing and that's a bad thing at the same time. That's kind of a double-edged sword, I mean, I think we do need to be scared, but there's so many people with these conspiracy theories and things out there that I'm not necessarily falling into that just yet, but I am being aware of the circumstance and situation, to be honest with you.
Well, knowledge is power, but having no common sense to go along with it, hell, that's probably most of our government and elected officials, which, if anything good comes out of this, people might change the way they vote. Realize that, their city managers, their governors, the mayors of these towns, they have a lot more power over them than the president of the United States does. And Trump did the right thing by just putting the power back to those, because that's where it belongs. Mm-hmm. But we as citizens, we have the right to kick them out come election time. Right. If you don't like what happened and what went down or the way they handled it, then you pull the lever, punch the card, swinging Chad, whatever you want to do. They're trying to do mail-in voting because they're scared to death people are going to be in line. This virus is smart, and everybody's seen it. It doesn't seem to get people at Walmart, at the grocery stores, and all these places, which we've had a couple cases. I'm being right. Poking fun at it, but you're old enough to remember when AIDS hit.
Yeah.
When AIDS hit, you were afraid to even look at a girl. And then it was just if you're homosexual. Well, hell, let's party. We're good. Then they realized that it's all screwed up. Use protection. Be safe. And we got through it. And then we got through SARS and H1N1 and remember the bird flu. Mm-hmm. Something like that. My disease specialist in 2005 told me that a man gets on a plane and leaves Baltimore, goes to England, leaves there in 2 days, goes to Europe, travels around Europe for business. And then he's in China. Then he's in Australia, and then he goes to South America for a week or two, and then he's back home. All those different people, sooner or later, somebody's going to have a bug. could start it all. Just like the beginning of this, there was supposed to be some guy eating a bat. The guy eating a bat had nothing to do with it. But the viruses are out there. There's more dangerous stuff out there yet. They know it. They just don't know how it's going to get from some bug crawling around the Serengeti to, Ohio.
Right. And
but
unfortunately,
what are you going to do? You got to live.
Yeah, you do. And I'm of the same mindset, man. I mean, I don't necessarily want to contract it because I don't want to give it to other people, I guess, is the kind of way I look at it. But I'm with you. I almost kind of hope that I get it so I'm exposed to it, and hopefully I have an antibody that might build up against everything that's going on and the craziness of all these things. We are starting to see some things open up, and we do get to go race 17th. So that is a bright light at the end of the tunnel that I'm looking at right now. And I know a lot of folks, racers, I know are looking forward to that as well, because a lot of people have got a lot invested in this, and not moving, not doing things is costing people a lot of money right now.
Probably, I'd say the majority of the series, no matter if it's GNCC, ATVMX, or IXCR, that race weekend is their getaway. It's their break. They work tirelessly at their jobs, a lot of overtime, use up vacation, but it's to hang out and be with friends. You take all that away from them, you make an angry Gus out of somebody. I think everybody's done pretty good. I mean, you can read around online, and you don't see a bunch of the bashing of every series because they realize that their hands are tied. At Georgia, we were wondering if we were even going to get to race Sunday.
Right.
Back when all this started, because the governor was shutting stuff down. And you didn't have to be on the end. I think, getting people out, getting them back to racing, getting them back to what they enjoy, that'll take away some stress from them. And for other people in the country, it might be going to Aunt Claire's. If you don't, people just start going nuts.
Yeah, that's so very true. I recognize it a lot. I mean, not necessarily because I've been pinned down, but because, I think it's just the anxiety of everything you're hearing, everything you're reading, the way that everyone else is reacting, or a lot of other people are reacting. You got some that are taking it overly serious. You got others that are not taking it serious at all. And, you got to name this one. Even though we're at Aonia, it's not going to be the General 2. It's going to be the Bulldog GNCC. So I think that's going to be pretty neat.
That's why the series exists. That's why we have such great, people that race the series. It's people you can trust and you don't mind hanging out with. So if the ship is sinking, let's all go down with it. But they'll use their head. They'll be smart.
Yeah, I think so. And the beauty of it is the following weekend, we will be at Aonia Pass again on the ATV motocross side of things.
That's right. I'm still don't know whether I'm going to come home and go back, or I'm just going to take my boat and go fishing in between.
Bring your boat.
I haven't looked at the rules to see what they're allowing.
I want to go fishing, Ken.
I was kind of hoping we would go. We went fishing the other day. Didn't catch a damn thing, but just to get out, like you said, just to get out away from the house. We've been here. I don't know how many weeks have we been on. 7 now.
7, 8, something like that. I lost count, man.
It's got to be 7 or 8 weeks that
I'm losing a day a week over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's no kidding. I mean, like one day, 1 week I'm thinking it's Wednesday when it's actually Thursday. The next week I'm thinking it's Wednesday when it's actually Friday. And the next week I'm thinking it's Wednesday when it's actually Saturday. I don't know where all this is going. I have got a few things done. That's the beauty of it. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the racing itself. Wow. I mean, the first 3 rounds of racing, I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, this was some pretty intense stuff.
Hang on for 1 second. Ma! Hey, Ma! Coffee! Sorry. Take on the racing. Well, I mean, I think Caleb wanted to have a whole lot more competition this year. I mean, he's a competitor. He doesn't want to go out with, just doing his own thing. he wants to earn it. Um, so on the bike side, maybe some guys have healed up. Maybe we'll see some competition coming at him. He sure as heck hasn't been sitting around. I mean, it looks like his new place in North Carolina or something like that. That they built a
Actually,
motocross track on. He's ripping that up, posting.
I think he's had that one for a while. I could be
On the
mistaken.
ATV side, on the ATV side, it's Walker Fowler's game again. Um, just for competition's sake, I wish somebody would get up there and battle with him. I always like a good race, but
Yeah, but I
so
mean,
he's
there's some
going to just
glimpses
be
of
motoring on.
yeah, there's some glimpses of hopes there. I mean, there's a couple of riders, 2 or 3 riders that I think that I mean, it's going to be hard to beat Walker. Walker has figured out the wing game better than anybody. Although he is prone to mistakes like anybody else, and he is capable of being beaten. He knows it, and he knows who the guys are. And I think probably the 2 guys that he's most worried about right now would be Bryson Neal and, of course, Cole Richardson. And I have to think with some of the rides that we've seen out of Chris Borch and the passion and the inspiration that he has with the new Phoenix Honda Racing team, that might be lurking in the back of his mind as well. So, even though Walker has won the first 3 races of this year, he hasn't done it without competition. He hasn't done it without mistakes. So we know that he is capable of making mistakes. It's just that he's been able to redeem himself before the checker flag flies on these.
Yeah, I mean Bryson, he always seems to be either having a really good race or just a really bad one. Cole, I mean, he's healthy this year. He's gotten over some of his health issues. Looks like his program came together for him right at the end. He's probably going to get a couple wins this year. But I think that the people below Fowler I think Fowler's going to win enough where nobody's going to give him, a fit for as far as the championship goes. I could be wrong, but I just don't see that happening again. He made a comment either on a video or on his social media a week or 2 ago about he's got 5 good years left in him. That's a pretty bold statement.
Right.
But he knows there's people coming up, some kids that are coming up. I call them kids. Hell, they're 20 couple years old now. But they're coming up, and Walker's going to and some of the best racing might take place in the next 5 years.
I have to agree. I mean, we had a few years ago. I remember that there were like 2 or 3 years in a row that I was making this statement. This has been the best year. And the next year we come out and top it, and then the next year we come out and top it. And the last couple of years have been pretty good, but they just haven't reached that peak that we saw what those handful of years did with as far as the competition is concerned. However, I think we've turned things back around to where this could be the greatest season of GNCC racing in history, at least on the ATV side of things, and maybe too on the motorcycle side of things. I mean, we're not necessarily doing the 10 seconds thing right now, but I mean, there's a deep field of competition in the motor thing that's going on over there. You got, I believe it was, obviously Stu Baylor, that big shake up there on the Factory One Sherco, and I think Nick Farringer may be taking his place there on the Sherco team. Don't know. That leaves Stu out in the dark. I hope that he didn't burn any bridges with the folks over at KTM. And even so, I Owen might yield a little bit of sympathy in that direction, even if so. So, I mean, if KTM said open their arms back up and said, "Come back, Stu," on both Stu and on KTM's part, but I don't know. I guess I can't necessarily say that for sure, but from my perspective anyway. But right now, Stu's in a pretty bad predicament as far as, I mean, you couldn't be in a worse position right now considering the circumstances of the COVID-19 virus, with the racing being suspended, with sponsorships already being halted and cut way back. I mean, how do you get a new plan together 4 rounds into the races? I mean, how do you fix that? How do you get the ship righted and back in the right direction?
Good question. I mean, if anybody can do it, I think Stu will. I mean, he's been in the game a while, a long time, so he's got connections. And if he burn a bridge, he knows how to rebuild it. Um, it's a business at that level. I don't even know. I've paid so little attention to the politics of it. I don't even know why him and Sherco went ways. Just none of my business, you know. But I think we're going to see a good showing out of him, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could take maybe a mini bike out there and put and soup it up and probably do about as good as he has done. I mean, the Stu is an incredible racer. There's no doubt about it. And you know, so things are going to get exciting, I think, on the two-wheel side of things. My point being is that we could, back to that, we could be seeing one of the greatest seasons of championship racing. There's going to be asterisks beside it. There's going to be people always asking the questions, what if? Yeah, but that was the year that, you know, we had the COVID and you know, things weren't normal and blah, 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 blah. But whatever the case may be, I hope that we can get most, if not all, the rounds of racing in. I know, looking at the schedule, we're running into November. Our banquet is scheduled for like the 12th and 13th, I think, of December on the GNCC side of things. So, I mean, it's not like they don't have a plan. And, you know, you see a lot of TBAs in there. And the reason those are TBAs is because they're waiting, I think, at this point to see what states are going to be opened up, what the restrictions will be. And we're going to kind of float it around. This is going to be a very unique season. I mean, we may go to places that we may never go back to or we haven't been to in a long time, or we may find new gold as far as the racing is concerned in a new venue out there, because, I mean, they're going to be pulling out all the stops just to try to get races in, I think, this.
Oh yeah, and wouldn't that be something to have a couple brand new venues? You know, for some of these racers that you know, like in was it 4x4 Pro? You know, show up where nobody's got any experience racing with. I mean, that class is pretty hot. So is WXC in both bike and ATV. So yeah, I mean, we just don't know. I think that adds some excitement to it because you just don't know. I mean, it might happen. Um, you know, it could be something ludicrous to where you've got to be 6 feet apart at the finish line. Who knows? You know, I don't know what's going to go on. I mean, I'm going to be there. You're going to be there, and a whole bunch of our friends are going to be there. And I think this year will go down when it's over at the end of this season, when everybody's at the banquet. I think probably Tim Cotter's just going to shake his head, throw his hands up in the air, and said, "We did it."
Yeah.
No matter what happens, we're going to get through it. They put a heck of a team together. They've done everything, from what I understand, that they needed to do to make these state officials agree to allowing us to have a race. I think a few of these states are going to be real tough. Anything in New York's going to be tough.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to go to New York.
And Ohio might even be a little tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
West Virginia, I think. What's that?
I'm not sure that I want to go to New York with the way things are up there. That state scares me right now.
I thought that's what you said, and I had to, because I was like, yeah, I'm right there with you, but you know, it's as my friends tell me, the real New York,
Right.
not the New York City.
Yeah. And
although, how about a downtown EDT race?
That would be pretty interesting, no doubt. But you're right. I mean, a lot of the
Nobody's in the streets. That's great.
everything I think is concentrated toward the East Coast over there in the New York City area, and like you say, you get out in the upstate and you get in the southern tier in western New York. I mean, there's a lot of vast open land out there, and I mean, the population is not nearly as dense, I think, in a lot of places, so it's a lot more sparsely populated. Yeah, and that's generally where we go anyway, you know. So I guess I shouldn't say that. I know I said that, but no, wherever we go, I'm going, and I'll be there with bells on. I need this fix. I think that might be part of my problem. You know, I posted something on Facebook the other day about the well being dry. Yeah, the well is dry financially right now. I am. It's been a very eye-opening experience for me. had things going well, and then all of a sudden you get I dumped a bunch of money into QuadRadio, and then I get a call the very next day that says, "Hey," and I'm like, "Oh." So here we are. I'll have to actually. I'm probably going to have to go to a title loan place to get the gas money to come to work. It's nuts how crazy. And you know,
Mm.
and I'm having it easy right
Well,
now. I really am.
you didn't rack up a $200,000 hospital bill in the off season either,
No, I did not. Thank
with
goodness.
no insurance.
And that's what I said. And that's what I said. As bad as I think I've got it, there's people out there that have got it so much worse than me right now. I mean, I'm still eating. You know, things are for the most part normal as they can be. It's just that things are tight, and I've lived through tight times, maybe even tighter times at times. Because right now, you know, I know or I feel that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I filed for all the government. Uh, Things and so forth, but I don't know when I'll hear anything back from that or anything. But you know, like a lot of folks out there have, I'm sure. I hope that will help ease the burden on what's going on with me. I know, crazy. I know a lot of people that are making out like bandits right now. They're making more money now than they've ever made in their life. And they're not even, some of them aren't even working. And that's the crazy, screwed up thing about this.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not one for charity, as far as like, you earn your way. Um, but if the government tells you not to work, then somebody needs to step up and give us our money back, and that is our money, um, to help us get through this. Or the government needs to move the hell out of the way and let us get back to doing what we do. Period. I can go another 3 months without working. But at the end of that 3 months, I don't care what Governor so and so says, I'm going to work, whether it's digging a ditch, mowing grass, shooting races, doesn't matter. And you're going to either put me in jail or shoot me to stop me, because I'm not going to let my family starve.
Right. I'm in the same boat, and and I've got this with QuadRadio. I'm I've got some sponsors and stuff that help support thing. And the beauty of it is right now, Ken, is that it's paying for itself right now. So that is the beauty of it. I mean,
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have the series, my wife, the series as taking me under their wing. I've got a couple commercial accounts. I mean, this, if you could set up a bad year for me, this has probably been the absolute worst. I go into the off season sick as a dog, spend the entire off season in the hospital, come out of that and I lost a couple big accounts. I'm like, I'm sick. I can stand not making as much money. I can lighten my workload, and then this crap hits. So but I'm alive. I'm on the right side of the grass. My wife is healthy, which I'm getting ready to throw something at her. But I've got a beautiful grandson. I do have one son deployed, but he's doing good. Um, life's okay. It's
wonderful.
it gets better. And if they were telling us we just don't know, then that would be a different story. But I think everybody knows that we're coming to the end of it. I think the politicians realize they're only going to keep us clamped down so far, and we've reached that point, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think we'll rebound. We'll recover. Hopefully, we don't have a whole bunch of lemmings that start following the wrong in the wrong direction, if you know what I mean. Hopefully, we don't go off that. They start going off the cliff or whatever. And I don't. Again, I'm not going to get into the politics, the whole crap of this. But again, my warning, and I'd say your warning too, Ken, would be just pay attention. Don't let the wool be poured over your eyes, and just work and go to the races. If you feel well, you got the money, you can make the trip, and you feel that, hey, I'm healthy enough that I can do it, come out, support it. It's going to need it. People need to get out and do it, and we need to. Maybe that's going to be the way to prove the point to the world, prove the point to the United States, to the government, that it works. And if it don't work, then okay, we screwed up. We pulled the trigger too soon. Let's pull back and try it again and try something else. But like you said, man, I mean, just laying around and waiting and not knowing, it's going to be tough. So I think we got to try something, and I'm looking forward to going back to racing. I'm looking forward to watching Walker Fowler line up. You mentioned the 4x4 Pro Class there a few moments ago. Wow, what has that been like? Landon Wolf, Cody Collier, those guys have been going at it nuts out there in that particular class. The WXC class has been just off the charts, and in the youth ranks, things have been very exciting there on the ATV side of things. But I'm going to tell you, folks, well, no, I was going to say this. He's not going to be in the youth ranks. The morning race, we got another rider coming in, Damian Hawkins. You remember that name? Damian